If you're starting LSA because you think it's quick money, this might change your mind. A loan signing agent for 6 years now, and I am not here to sell you a dream. But I promise that by the end of this video, you will know what to do next. And if this LSA career is for you. The biggest myths beginners believe. All right, so we're going to name a few now because there's a lot of them. So one is that you make $10,000 in 30 days culture, which clearly is not it, and that you'll get signings immediately. And all you need is a stamp. That is far from the truth, guys. Clearly not the case. What the job is in reality, okay, you're basically a professional appointment setter. Okay, so once you get commissioned, you get your license, you have your stamp. Let's say you have all your supplies and everything. Okay, so how do you get work? You basically start not applying. It's kind of like filling out an application, but you are putting all your credentials into different notary platforms so you can get work. And that's basically how they're going to start texting you and reaching out to you, letting you know that there are signings available in your area, whatever the radius is that you put yourself under, your zip code, and how far you're willing to drive. Those are the signing requests that you're going to receive, okay? And going back, so that is number one. So basically, once you do that, you have to be a professional, okay? I always recommend you get educated. I paid for an extra course once I got my loan signing agent certification and commission from the NNA. I paid an extra course aside from the NNA to get educated on the documents because I wanted to be knowledgeable when I went to these signings, to these houses, and explaining to people, borrowers what they were signing. I didn't want to look crazy and look like I didn't know what I was talking about. And what else? So what the job entails is, okay, you get a signing request, you get an email, you get a phone call because they reach out to you in all these different ways, okay? So you're going to come into your laptop. It's very important that you have all your supplies before you even enter your information into these platforms. And then you're going to print the documents. Make sure that you printed all the documents, that they are in order. I will check everything that you print. I don't know, that's just me. I'm so used to doing it. You got to print that your documents printed correctly and that none of them were cut off at the top or at the bottom, that they're not bleeding ink or toner. And you print these out. You dress professional, you look professional, you speak professional, all right? And then you contact, once you receive the confirmation, that you got assigned for the signing. I went ahead of myself with the printing. But you're going to immediately, as soon as you can, if you're not busy at the table, you're going to contact the signers and confirm the appointment date, the address and the time, how many people are signing. You're going to make sure that their IDs are valid because we are not able to notarize with IDs, passports, etc., that are expired. Very important. Yeah, so that's number one, okay? And then you're going to print these documents and go to these appointments. So what they're paying loan signing agents for initially, anywhere between $50 to $150 normally. Once you reach the $150 threshold mark, you could make more money, but that would require you to market more to title companies. Signing services do not pay $150 off the bat, okay? So the fact that people think that you can make $10,000 in a month right in the beginning is incorrect. Going back, let me backtrack. As to getting signings immediately, okay, I started during COVID, okay? So it was extremely busy when I started and I got my commission. That's why I did it. So once I entered all my information into all of these different platforms, I really did start to get signings within a week or two. By the second week, I was getting signing requests back to back. Again, I specify that was during COVID. I don't know what it's like now because I haven't started all over again. I've been doing it since then. Okay. So I'm not sure if that's the case now, but that's what it is. So you confirm the appointments with the borrowers. Okay. And what they pay you as a professional loan signing agent is to be calm under pressure. Excuse me. So they pay you for accuracy. They pay you to stay calm under pressure. And you have to remain calm with all these scenarios. Sometimes they misspell the borrower's names and then they would have to do a redraw. And 90% of the time, they're not able to sign the documents because one of their names are spelled incorrectly, which is very important. And another thing, so you also get paid for driving, for printing, for scanning, and time management. So all of that is together in one. Okay. Yeah. You're making $50 an hour, $75, $65, $85, $100, $150. And that all includes from the moment you accept that signing, you confirm the appointment, the date, the time, the address, you print these documents correctly. Okay. You dress professionally. You drive to the appointment. You sign these documents with the borrowers. It all depends on what type of documents they are signing. That's going to take you 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour. Okay. If it's HELOC, seller documents, loan modifications, it should take you less than 30 minutes to get these signed. Okay. Now, when we're talking refinances and buyer purchase documents, trust and wills, power of attorneys, these could take 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. It all depends on how quickly the signers sign and how quickly and accurately are you able to give them a brief description of what they're signing, because we're not lawyers and it is not our job to explain everything in detail. Okay, so that's initially what a loan signing agent does. And that's why we get paid the big bucks, because they expect these documents from the moment you get the signing to have the appointment confirmed, the docs printed, for them to sign them correctly, date them correctly. You got to check every single date. And once you're done with the appointment, 90% of the time, they want you to scan all the documents back ASAP, like within 2 hours. So you have to scan them. Once they review them and approve them, you have to then drop them off to FedEx or UPS overnight. So there's a lot that entails being a loan signing agent. And that's why we get paid what we get paid. Okay. It's not for everybody. And you do have to be very detail oriented. All right. And what do we have next? So what determines success? Speed of learning, docs, and process. I mentioned this before. So the more you do, in the beginning, you are going to go slower. The first signing I did was a refinance, guys. It took me 2 hours. Like, I was so scared. And I even paid for an extra course to become more familiar with these documents before I went to my first appointment, because I didn't want to make any mistakes, or whatever. And even then I did, because we're human. And my honest take on that is just practice makes perfect. The more you do it quicker, and you're going to do it faster. But you have to become familiar with the documents. And the only way you'll become familiar and more comfortable is by doing more signings. Okay. And that's exactly what happened to me. So please, yes, professionalism matters. how you talk, how you confirm, and how you show up. Every single one is important. Take it from me. The way you dress, that is exactly how they will judge you. Okay. So try your best to always look professional. If you do wear jeans, because I wear jeans a lot, but I don't wear jeans with any, rips and tears or holes in them. I wear, very professional dark blue jeans or black jeans and a button down, closed toe shoes. I don't wear flip flops. You don't wear ripped jeans, shorts, spaghetti strap tops, just how you would go casual, a professional casual wear in a corporate job. That's exactly how you should be dressing for your signing appointments. Okay. It matters very much. And guys, they do grade you on that. I noticed that some of these companies, they have the signers give you like a review and they ask some questions like, how was your notary dressed? Was she professional? And things like that, which is crazy, but some companies do that. And that'll determine if they will use you again for future signings. Okay. Just FYI. All right. So we got that and consistency. So daily outreach and platform applications. This is what I started to do mid last year or last year. Well, I definitely market to title companies, to minimum 10 title companies every month, okay? But what I started to do last year is I started emailing these title companies about 10 to 15 every Monday. I will email them and offer my services and tell them that I'm open for signings for the week. Posting on LinkedIn, and I started to reach out to escrow officers, realtors, title companies there. And there's an app called the Neighbor app or Nextdoor app. I think it's called Nextdoor. So basically, it's a community app, and you put you offer your services. You post a picture of yourself. Well, I do. And excuse me. And I offer my services on there: wedding officiant, loan signing agent, notary public, once a week, okay? Because if you do it every day, it could become overwhelming. Unless it's really slow, then you would definitely start marketing to title companies and doing this obviously more often because you have time. All right. So who should not start in 2026? People needing rent money by next week. I'm telling you guys, scarcity mentality, if that's the desperate energy, it is not going to work. Okay. Take it from someone that learned from experience. When I started this, I was at this corporate job for 11 years. That's why it was extremely hard for me to leave sooner. I doubled my income, I think within 6 months or less. And I didn't quit my job until a year later, give or take. But what I do regret, honestly, is not saving a 3 to 6 month income, a cushion before I quit my job. Okay. That I just I did it like cold turkey. Like, okay, I'm quitting in the beginning of next year. I think I quit December 20 something of 2021, if I'm correct. And then I went full time in 2022, I think. But my point being is I had no money saved. Okay. And basically, I was like, you're pushed against the wall. I was under pressure. And I was, signing up for all these different platforms, and I was marketing. Well, the good thing is that I immediately went straight to marketing to title companies, from the very beginning. And that's how I started to get business. But I honestly, if I could go back and I can do it again, I will definitely save 3 to 6 months of my income, an emergency fund before actually doing it. All right. You don't want to give off desperate vibes because it's not going to work out. It's not going to be the same. You're not going to think straight. It's so many things to it. Not only that, But when you become a signing agent and you're mostly working for signing services, they pay you net 30. Some of them pay you net 30, net 45, net 60. And that is crazy. Basically once a month. Okay. Title companies pay you same day or within a week. All right. Now, some signing service or platforms pay you every 2 weeks or some every 20 days, but they're very rare. For the most part, is net 30. This is the reason why I'm saying that you should have some money saved up, unless you are going to start doing this part time, to which I recommend to everyone. Do it part time. You could do 1 or 2 signings after work, or you can even do signings on the weekends, because we do have business on the weekends too. I work Saturday and Sunday, okay? But you want to be prepared, guys, because we get paid net 30 for the most part, unless you have a bunch of title companies, clients, then that'll work out perfect because they pay a lot quicker. All right. And what else? Yeah, you don't want to be desperate, needing rent money, and what am I going to do? I have to pay my car. It's just unnecessary. Like, start part-time, and once you start stashing money, and stash 3 to 6 months of savings, and then go full-time. That's my personal opinion, but to each his own. And people not willing to study the documents. Okay, if you're not willing to study the documents and know to give a brief description of what you're talking about, because we are not lawyers. Again, I repeat that over and over again. But now there's so many apps. Everything is so easy. Like, you could literally look at the document, take a screenshot and upload it to ChatGPT and ask, can you give me a brief description of this document? And it'll give it to you. And put a sticky tab on it, and practice these documents over and over again. Do a mock signing with your child, your sister, your cousin, a family, or a friend, and get used to explaining these documents to people. It's really easy. Once you get the hang of it and you practice makes perfect. You'll feel very comfortable going to the signing table and doing this. So again, if you're not willing to study the documents, this is not for you. So people who hate driving or client-facing work, that is a huge con, especially for me in Orlando. Everything here is far, okay? I get signings that are within my area, my zip code, and that takes me, with all the traffic that is out here, 30, 45 minutes to an hour, okay, of driving time. And that's to go and to come back, okay? So it all depends on the time of the day and the hour. Point being is, being a loan signing agent, you're going to be driving a lot, okay? You're going to be driving to different appointments throughout the day. I do 4 to 6 appointments a day. That means that I'm pretty much most of my time driving, okay? Unless you do remote online notary and you're at home in your laptop and you're doing the notarizations online, or you're able to have a client from title companies that use you in the office throughout the day. Okay, so this is great. This happens to me sometimes. And I'm super grateful for those days, because I'm in office all day and I do signings all day for them. That means I don't have to be driving from appointment to appointment throughout the day. But this is not the case every day. Okay. So, another thing, client-facing work, you have to interact with people face to face. If you're not a people person, this is not for you, because you're going to meet different personalities, different energies. You're entering in people's homes. And when I tell you, they have pets, they have kids, Some are clean, some are not. So that's just a little snippet of different scenarios that can happen on the day-to-day basis. Okay. So that is that. And who should start in 2026? People who want a skill based income. Now, how you scale, this is a skill. This is not a corporate 9 to 5, a regular job. This is literally a skill to deal with people. You have to have a skill to be detail oriented. You have to have the skill to know your loan documents and how to present them, and from beginning to end to be professional. Like, it's a skill. And you have to, not only that, you become your own scheduler. Okay. So there's an app called the Notary Gadget for notaries, and you have to send your own invoices. You're your own boss. Well, me, because I do this full time. But even if you do this part time, you have to keep track of all the signings that you do, enter them on each calendar day, the time, the address, the miles you drove. It takes a lot, guys. Like, it's easy, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? It all depends on what you put in. But I love what I do. That's why I'm here. So it is what it is. But you get paid for your professionalism. Okay. That I do tell you. There are many notary public loan signing agents, but there are not many good loan signing agents. So you want to set yourself apart from the regular loan signing agents, and you want to be in the top 1%. Okay. And that's how you'll get more business, you'll get more work, and you'll get paid more money. Okay. Who can be consistent in 90 days. So consistency. Don't start this, for a couple of weeks and not even give yourself a 90-day minimum time frame to know if this is for you or not. It's just like when you start a new job, you're in probation for 90 days. It's the same thing with the loan signing. Give yourself 90 days and see if this is something that, you want to do for yourself that'll work out for you and your family. All right. Consistency is what matters. People who want flexible income while building something bigger. So this is the part that I do love. The better you become, the more money you make. Okay. And you become you have flexibility. You are doing a lot of driving, but you're managing your time. For example, tomorrow I have a doctor's appointment at 2:45. I take a signing in the morning, 2 signings in the morning, maybe before that appointment, and I'll take one after, or either or. I could work around my appointments. I don't have to ask a boss or anybody for permission to go to the doctor or to take my son to his sports basketball tryout or practice. You know what I mean? You manage your time on the day-to-day basis. And this is what I love and works out for me. So if you want flexibility, then this is for you. And you're building your business. This is something that you're building on your own, and you could scale it. You could start your own loan agency signing service. Sorry. You could sell ebooks, digital products, make a course like what I'm doing. You can, become a mentor, become a coach. I'm doing all of this now because I have so many people asking me, how do I get started? What are the steps? That I'm like, I'm just going to create content and build a business around that. And if I can do it, you can do it too. So yeah, it's awesome. Now, your next step for serious beginners, okay? If you're serious, start with the right order, okay? Training, supplies, then marketing. We talked about this earlier. I invested in myself. Throughout my whole life, I have always invested in myself to learn a new skill. And thank you, Jesus, it has always worked out for me. When you invest in yourself, you never lose because you have more knowledge, you have more education. All right. It's very important. And supplies, before you even sign up to these platforms and start marketing, you have to make sure you have all your supplies, the most important ones. And I think I have a list linked of supplies that you need as a loan signing agent, a notary. The links are below. They're somewhere there in YouTube. And then marketing. So once you have, the skills, you study the training, your supplies, you can start marketing. Okay, to these title companies. And what else? I think we're pretty much done. And if you want honest guidance and a real strategy, you're in the right place. Okay. Watch the next video because this is a series that I'm doing. All right. I think I'm going to make a couple of videos, 4 videos on, loan signing agent in 2026 for beginners. And don't miss out on that. So I'm breaking down the exact step-by-step path to becoming a loan signing agent in 2026. Do not miss out on these videos. Learn as much as you can before you jump into this industry. And I truly believe that this is something anybody can do. You just have to have the will of learning a new skill, applying it, believing in yourself, and scaling it as best as you can. All right. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. And stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you soon. Catch you on the next one. Bye.